Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe, Chief Marketing Officer at Gamefound, and I wanted to have a small conversation about VAT today. We get a bunch of comments, questions, things about the nature of VAT, what the obligations are, why certain things happen certain ways. I just want to go through a very short, brief history. Some of you may know all of this, some of you may know in a lot more detail than I'm going to cover today. I'm going to try to keep it as absorbable and easy while being accurate as possible in this fairly short conversation. The basic idea around VAT obligations, and the changes you've seen over the past several years in crowdfunding in general, is the idea that in July 2021, the European Union changed the rules for handling VAT in e-commerce. Basically, before then, the motivation behind this whole change, the legislation, is the idea that they wanted to seize various evasion practices by out-of-European Union sellers, basically people who are able to take advantage of the rules, the regulations, and be able to have a competitive advantage over other people. Basically, if you're within the European Union, you're selling something and you're obligated to pay certain taxes and certain whatnot, and other people outside don't have that, you have a competitive advantage. You, as a seller, can offer things for a cheaper price than the people in that place. This is very similar, for those who know all the Amazon rules and differences and the rules within the US around how different marketplaces collect taxes. The general idea is if you are someone who is able to offer something at a cheaper price because you're not charging the tax, you basically are competing against other people on a non-level playing field. You're hurting the people within the European Union who are trying to compete within the rule set, and you are able to avoid that rule set. Nobody here likes taxes, let's be honest. Nobody here wants to pay the taxes. We understand why they exist. We're all happy, but nobody wants to have to deal with those practical realities. But at the end of the day, the European Union, understandably, wanted to ensure that there was a level playing field around the collection of taxes to ensure that their own sellers and whatnot weren't hurt by others being able to sell at a lower price point and avoid all those costs. And to that end, they were looking to level that playing field. They were looking to try to remove the 22 euro threshold around VAT that was in place previously, and just kind of have it in place in general, while also being mindful of cross-border sales, while also being mindful of not hurting cross-border sales as much as possible. There's the constant balance in play as far as how you handle something like that. To that end, the European Commission, once they were analyzing the various, sources of sales and all that, one of the things that they realized is that marketplaces were a huge source of the additional sales. Things like AliExpress, Amazon, eBay, other marketplaces were a huge source of the various sales, and that by enforcing regulations around the marketplaces, they could effectively impose that obligation on as few people as possible while reducing the tax avoidance. They're reducing tax avoidance practices without forcing all small out of the European sellers to handle VAT in the EU. The impact on crowdfunding is that crowdfunding is a marketplace. It's clearly a marketplace. The European Commission published explanatory notes on the new VAT e-commerce rules, along with a set of other guidelines, and all crowdfunding sites, all reward-based crowdfunding platforms, all count under these obligations, and they all have that obligation, whether you're in the EU, whether you're in the US, whatever place or wherever location you are from, you're all considered a marketplace for that you need to handle VAT on transactions. Which effectively means that Gamefound and all other crowdfunding marketplaces are obligated to collect, handle, and process VAT because of these European Union regulations. It is not a choice we're making here at Gamefound. It is a obligation, is a rule that we are following to ensure that your rewards aren't at risk, to ensure that we're in compliance with all regulations, to ensure that we're effectively doing what needs to be done to keep the platform safe, the platform safe, your pledges safe, the general crowdfunding ecosystem safe. We're doing what we can to follow the rules, whether we like them or not, whether we want to or not. We are following the rules and putting those things in place. We are collecting VAT, processing VAT, charging VAT, all based around the European rules as far as what is required. Hopefully that addresses some of the questions. I've seen here and there people asking, why we're doing something one way and other crowdfunding platforms might not, why we're doing it this way, why we insist on this. It's nothing to do with us. It's just us following the rules and trying to make sure everything is done the way it's supposed to be done. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any other questions we can help with, by all means. This is just a small, short conversation around European Union, around the handling of VAT, the changes you've seen over the past several years, and why they're there. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe, Chief Marketing Officer of Gamefound, and I'll see you next time.